Dawn over Port-au-Prince, but in the words of the Guyanese poet Martin Carter, this is the dark time, my love. We descended onto the runway at the Toussaint Louverture Airport into an air thick with death, despair, disaster. The poorest country in the Americas had become the epicenter of even worse suffering and the center of the world's attention. Minutes after we landed, scores of Jamaicans and their relatives hurried to the aircraft. To say they were relieved is an understatement.
Feel glad to be heading home, you know. It was quite an ordeal. We were at a house doing some work when suddenly we started to feel a tremor. I exited the building, ran to the doorway, but upon seeing that the tremor was very persistent, was very strong, I ran out of the house. By the time I ran out of the house, look behind me, the house collapsed.
The place is a mess, so it's better at home, you know? Right. No place at home, you know?
They were escaping these scenes. And these sounds. Alright, so a little boy there in agony as he's being treated here at the Bernard Merves Hospital in Port-au-Prince. It's part of the immense human tragedy here that is unfolding and has received the world's attention, and the world has responded to this human crisis in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Well, the Haitians have been a tough people, a resilient people, and they've had to be. They've had so many disasters over the years, an uninterrupted series of crises in their society. They've had political and social unrest, and they've had natural disasters. These people were outside not because the hospital was crowded, but because the patients refused to stay inside the concrete structure. Aftershocks jolted their nerves days after the earthquake shook their capital city to its foundation. And many of the buildings didn't have much of a foundation. The poor construction here was a disaster in itself and led to many of the deaths here. Just a shake, and this was about to fall like the biblical walls of Jericho.
The buildings that we have seen to date actually has no steel in them, and the cement mortar that was mixed has marl in it, so it literally crumbles in your hand. So you find that even with some of the tremors or aftershocks that are registering 4 and 5, the buildings are still collapsing.
99% of these buildings, they are not really up to date. You know, they've shot of something. Yeah. It doesn't really say it's earthquake who got to do some damage. If rain should fall for like 3 days straight, non-stop, they're coming down. So there's a fault somewhere. Back home, them the concrete blocks, we full those block pocket. Here, they doesn't do that. So if you should be in a fight with somebody and lick too hard on the wall, you might end up inside. If you're on the outside, you're going to end up inside. If you're on the inside, you're going to end up outside. Yeah, they're not ready, my man.
Many didn't have much to lose. Even when they salvaged their goods, the name of the currency here, it wasn't of much help. What was there to buy?
You know, the country finds itself in a grave situation because we are all almost homeless. We don't have house, and our children is laying down inside of their house because of the earthquake. We don't have water, and after the deaf people, that's gonna cause an epidemic in the country.
We are suffering. We are suffering and we are starving. There is a great starvation in Haiti. You know, starvation, you know this? We die with hunger.
I would like to told you thank you for the water, for the food, because I'm waiting for I don't know. I can't explain it because I got very thing in my head.
Aid was critical, but for days the effort was dogged by logistical hitches. The desperation intensified. Now what you're seeing is utter desperation, and that's because these people have been without any sort of assistance, any form of aid for a week now since the earthquake. It speaks to how difficult it is to ensure that any sort of activity like this to distribute aid is well coordinated and is well manned. Members of the Jamaica Defense Force as well as the Sri Lankan military representing the United Nations are here, but still there is that level of desperation. And you get the sense that at any minute things could really get chaotic. Hundreds of people here who haven't received assistance for days, and it shows that desperation is showing. Over here there's a different kind of desperation. The old, the very young, receiving treatment for the first time after the earthquake. Haiti, broken bones, broken lives. Haiti, a broken nation. Bodies decayed in the streets, survivors often seemed to be immersed in their own problems to care. They didn't seem to care much about the charred remains of a child in the road, still curled in the position when the last breath was taken. Each of these collapsed buildings was, in a way, an unsightly tomb for thousands of decaying dead. Passed nearby, and the stench announced a looming public health catastrophe.
People are actually, I don't know how to put it, but the way that the Haitians are actually dealing with it, they're starting cleaning up, and the cleaning up process is not going through the rubble and recover the bodies. It's actually take up rubbles, and if a body is in that rubble, it's just a part of the rubble.
Welcome to the Hotel Montana. Survivors, 0. The guest list here quickly became the list of the dead or missing. The orphanage, destroyed. These are among the quake's most vulnerable victims. So young, yet so hapless. But some would receive a decent burial. Here, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police ensured the bodies of their fallen colleagues would be flown back home. The death and decay, the misery and the mayhem were punctuated by cheers of survivors pulled from the rubble. We were on hand at the United Nations headquarters to witness one such scene.
Do you have any medical problems? Do you take any medicine? Are you allergic to anything?
I'm saddened to all the families of the victims, our colleagues. I'm also very much moved that all search and rescue teams are working day and night.
If ever we needed a reminder of the unstable security situation, gunshots rang out as our convoy snaked through the sleazy streets of Port-au-Prince. A security guard killed a man on the street. There was no shock. Life went on. A hard, dreary, often hopeless life, but life nonetheless. Usain Bolt to the world. The poster dominated an otherwise macabre landscape. It is the cry of anguish that went out to the world. And the world responded, but sometimes what was donated didn't help the victims.
There's also an appeal going out from the UN that instead of sending any and everything, just send what the Asian needs, because a lot of stuff that is coming in, the Asian don't know what it is and they don't know how to utilize it, and that's also been a big problem also.
Like what? What are these items?
What they're asking for mostly is rice, beans, sardine, things that they are accustomed, what the Asians are really accustomed to and what they actually know. But people are coming in with mashed potato powder. They don't know what that for. Persons are actually using it to throw it away. They don't know how to use it. They know that you just need to throw hot water on it and stir it. They don't know how to use it.
Slowly the aid started to trickle out, but it was clear that the earthquake was only another disaster. Long before that, Port-au-Prince had been in a pitiful condition. Words can describe this, but the pictures are worth 1,000. Tent cities, and the rainy season is coming. Another natural disaster could be on the horizon, and these Haitians couldn't be any less prepared. This won't be a quick fix. Haiti needs all the help it can get. Some are still hopeful it will rise like the mythical phoenix from the ashes. A Jamaican living there isn't so optimistic. Some people say Haiti is cursed, having so many disasters one after the other. What do you think about it?
Well, 100% sure. Too much iniquity working thing have been done. So that's the reason why they got to look out for anything at any time. You know, every year something happen.
Yeah, that happened in this one.
Non-stop.
Non-stop.
So
Problem.
if they don't change now, they ain't gonna change, period. So eventually what happened, one of these days you're gonna hear that Haiti disappear. Yeah. Went under the sea.
So why do you stay?
Well, if you notice where I'm at, the seafront. My home is so close, it's only gonna take me 24 hours to get there. Home sweet home.
We returned burdened with having seen and smelled death, but knowing it's a story that has to be told. The Middlesex, that's the Coast Guard vessel on which we have spent some 18 hours on our trip from Haiti back here to Jamaica. We have seen firsthand the colossal devastation, the damage to infrastructure, and the unimaginable human suffering there in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. It's a people who have been hit by one disaster after another, both man-made and natural. Jamaica's medical team and fire personnel have made a valuable contribution to the rescue and relief efforts. More of their counterparts are now working in the Haitian capital, working to bring more relief to the Haitians who are so desperately in need. The road to recovery will be long and winding and will depend to a large extent on how effective and coordinated the response is both from CARICOM and the international community.